In light of yesterday's proceedings, I think there are a few things we need to discuss before we set foot back in the courtroom. Starting with your behavior. Rick's entire case hinges on proving that you are a violent and dangerous man. There is no need to help him drive that point home by showcasing your temper in front of the jury. So today, do us both a favor and keep your anger in check no matter what transpires.
Do you know how hard it was to sit there while Rick attacked Elizabeth?
Mm-hmm. Get used to it. Albeit in very poor taste, the district attorney's line of questioning was within the boundaries of the law. However, we may be able to regain some ground by calling Elizabeth back to the stand.
No, I want you to leave Elizabeth alone.
Jason's attorney called. She wants to put me back on the stand this morning.
Do I need to be there? Let me put it another way. Are there going to be any other secrets coming out that you and Jason have been keeping from me?
Jason, our best option will be redirecting Elizabeth's testimony to paint a picture in the jury's mind of exactly how twisted and vindictive Rick Lansing
All
can
that's
be.
gonna do is make Rick angrier, and he's gonna go looking for proof that Jake is my son.
You don't know that. However, you do know that if you are convicted of murder and sent away to prison, you will be unavailable to help Elizabeth and your son.
If you want to be in the courtroom for the rest of my testimony, that's your right. But nothing is going to come out that you don't already know.
In that case, I'll stay here. Spending the days with the boys will be a good reminder why I'm fighting for our marriage.
It doesn't have to be a fight, Lucky.
Yeah, I just don't want to wake up one morning and realize I've been wasting my time.
I have to go to court.
Hey, what are you doing?
Diane asked me to come by. She said you were upset with our plans to recall me as a witness.
Well, I am, because you've been through enough.
Jason, if I didn't think I could handle it, I wouldn't have
Look,
agreed.
I know that you want to help me, and I appreciate that, but I'm not going to let Rick use you to get to me.
I'm not afraid of Rick.
He tore your life apart yesterday. You get back on that stand, Elizabeth, and he's going to hurt you even more. Just tell Diane that you don't want to do it.
Look, I know you don't do this very well, but for once, try and be selfish. Because the only thing that matters is getting you out of here.
Mrs. Spencer, I'm going to start by reminding you that you're still under oath.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed, Miss Miller.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mrs. Spencer, could you please tell the court how long it's been since you and Mr. Lansing got divorced?
About 4 years.
And why did your marriage end?
Objection, Your Honor. The dissolution of my marriage to the witness is of no relevance to these proceedings.
I can assure this court it is extremely relevant.
Overruled. But keep this line of questioning brief, Ms. Miller. The court has no interest in a history lesson.
Certainly, Your Honor. Mrs. Spencer?
Rick was obsessed with getting revenge against his brother.
Brother, you are speaking of Michael Corinthos Jr., Jason Morgan's business partner, are you not?
Yes. He proved again and again that revenge was more important than me or our marriage.
Mm-hmm. After your marriage ended, did Mr. Lansing ever attempt to rekindle your relationship?
Yes, but I wasn't interested.
What were your feelings for him at the time?
Nothing. I had moved on.
Did you ever express this to your ex-husband?
I did.
Yet when your relationship with the defendant ended, you chose to maintain a friendship.
Your Honor,
Did
objection.
you not?
Other than the relationship with Mr. Morgan, the witness's past relationships have absolutely no bearing on this case. This is about a murder, Miss Miller.
Overruled. Proceed, Ms. Miller, but stay on point.
Certainly. Mrs. Spencer, do you have any reason to believe that Rick Lansing is jealous of the defendant?
Yes.
Can you elaborate?
Rick and I argued several times about my friendship with Jason. He constantly warned me to stay away from him.
And when you refused?
He got upset, mostly with Jason. That's why he dragged my personal life into this trial to provoke Jason.
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation.
Sustained.
Thank you, Mrs. Spencer. No further questions.
Mr. Lansing, your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mrs. Spencer, were you married when you slept with Mr. Morgan, yes or no?
Yes.
And did you lie about that to your husband?
I kept it from him, yes.
No further questions.
You may step down, Mrs. Spencer.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may be seated.
Please tell me she was not an eyewitness.
Thank you for joining us, Mrs. Chandler Quartermain. I realize how difficult this must be for you, the death of your child's father so fresh in your mind still.
Objection! Prosecution has yet to prove that Lorenzo Alcazar is in fact dead.
Sustained.
What were you doing the day that Lorenzo Alcazar, went missing?
We were preparing to leave Port Charles to go to his ranch in Venezuela.
Vacation?
Now we were moving there permanently.
Why is that?
Well, Lorenzo felt that his time in Port Charles was finished.
Finished or no longer safe?
Objection, leading the witness.
Sustained. Rephrase, Mr. Lansing.
Yes, Your Honor. In the last year, did Lorenzo Alcazar receive any threats on his life?
Yes.
From whom?
Well, he was shot in the head by Sonny Corinthos in the first week of January.
Objection! That incident was ruled self-defense. Mr. Corinthos was cleared of all charges.
Sustained.
After Mr. Alcazar was shot, did he take any added precautions?
Well, he increased security at work and at home.
Isn't it true that he also placed listening devices throughout the house, including one that he affixed to the underside of his desk, which he left running at all times?
Yes.
No further questions.
Your witness, Ms. Miller.
Did you love Lorenzo Alcazar?
Well, he was the father of my child.
Yes. That wasn't what I asked. You and the father of your child, whom you may or may not have loved, were never married, were you?
No.
Do you know if Lorenzo Alcazar has any other living relatives?
No.
So if he were, in fact, dead, your little girl would inherit his entire estate, correct?
Well, I don't know about that. I've never seen Lorenzo's will.
A dead man with no will. What was Lorenzo Alcazar's line of work?
He was a businessman.
What was his type of business?
I'm afraid I can't answer that. Lorenzo made it a point not to discuss his business with me.
But it was dangerous enough to make him paranoid.
Lorenzo was careful.
Do you happen to know if he had any other enemies?
It's possible.
Possible. So it's possible that someone other than the defendant could be responsible for Mr. Alcazar's absence.
Yes.
When was the last time you saw Lorenzo Alcazar?
We were up in the nursery with our little girl.
Did you see the defendant anywhere near your house that day?
No.
Did you hear or see any signs of a struggle, anything that may indicate foul play?
No.
So for all you know, nothing happened to Lorenzo Alcazar on Wednesday, May 23rd of this year.
That's correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
I have one. Lorenzo Alcazar had a brother, a niece, and a son, all murdered in this town. Now, do you honestly believe that he would vanish, leaving his last vestige of family behind?
Objection, supposition.
I'll allow it.
I'll ask the question again. Would Lorenzo Alcazar abandon his daughter if he were still alive?
No.
You are a criminalist with the Port Charles Police Department, is that correct?
Yes.
And did you perform an analysis on a digital recording that was found in the residence of Lorenzo Alcazar on May 29th of this last year?
I did.
Do you recognize this as a digital recorder which was previously marked as Exhibit F, which was found taped to the underside of Lorenzo Alcazar's desk?
Yes.
Is the voice on the recording Lorenzo Alcazar?
Yes, we matched his voice pattern to documented recordings, including legal testimony.
Was there a gun fired on the recording?
Objection.
I'll rephrase. Could the additional sound heard on the recording be that of a gunfire?
It's a perfect audio match for a 9mm fired through a silencer.
Your Honor, I would like permission to play the recording for the jury so that they can hear Mr. Alcazar identify his killer.
Objection. Prejudicial, Your Honor, and Mr. Lansing is blatantly addressing the jury.
Sustained. You may play the recording, Mr. Lansing, but you're skating close to a contempt citation. Maybe you better refresh your memory on the rules of procedure.
Understood, Your Honor.
Morgan.
Look out, Cam, here comes a tickle monster. Oh, you better run before I tickle you. Ah. They got you now.
Oh, he's a big boy. Whoa, look who's home.